Hey people out there, my name is Vincent and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're completely new. And first of all, Happy New Year, it's 2020. If you haven't seen me on Instagram, I dyed my hair so I look a little bit different, first of all. But second of all, this video is really exciting because today I'm going to show you my new 2020 Schleich figurine, and I'm super excited about this figure because I'm so proud of it and I'm so happy with it. So as you may or may not know from my other videos, I've sculpted as a freelancer for the toy company Schleich before. Right now there are 3 figurines that I've sculpted for them. Today I'm really excited to announce that I sculpted another figure for them for their 2020 range, which is a horse for Horse Club, and it is the Trakehner Gelding. I'm so happy and so excited about this guy because this figurine is the first Schleich figure by itself, if that makes sense, because the 2 unicorns I made and the Trakehner mare that I made are in these pop-up boxes. So this is the first figurine I made for the company that is by itself, if that makes sense, and has the original Schleich tag thing, which is what the company is known for. So I'm super hyped that I have a figurine now finally that is just a figurine by itself, if that makes sense. As I just showed her before, this is the Trakehner mare that came out last year that I made for the company. This is the Trakehner Gelding. They aren't meant to be together. They're obviously the same breed. I don't think they work too nicely together, but they obviously would if you wanted to. This guy is so elegant and I'm so happy about how he turned out in general. I sculpted him back in summer 2018, so it has been a while, and I haven't seen any update pictures in between. So when I first saw him in stores a couple days ago, that was the first time I saw this figurine after I dropped it off the company a year and a half ago. I'm super excited how well he turned out in the plastic and PVC. Because obviously when you sculpt in wax, you don't know how it's going to turn out, how the paint job is going to turn out. So overall, I'm really happy with what he looks like. In general, I'm just going to mention how he maybe happened because I thought it might be interesting for people to know. I sculpted him at home, and they actually invited all the freelance sculptors, or all the sculptors basically, over to the company in summer 2018 for, I think it was 2 days. One day was like a tour of the company. The other day was like a workshop mainly for sculpting equines. So any horse, unicorn related animal. So it was super excited that I was invited to the company. Obviously, since I've been doing internships at the company, I kind of knew the company. So for the tours, I knew most of the rooms already, but it was also really exciting because when we were there, they showcased all the 2019 figurines. So when I was there, I was able to see my moon unicorn stallion for the first time in PVC. I was able to see her, but it was super exciting to see all the new releases. And obviously the next day we had this little workshop about like what is important to sculpt equine figures and stuff like that. And I was commissioned for this guy before the meeting. So I finished him in time for the meeting and brought him to the meeting. And then I discussed them with people from Schleich, and they had a few things that they wanted to get changed. But because that meeting was right before Breyerfest, I literally got back from the Schleich company, which is, by the way, a 6 hours train ride. So it's not like the company is right around my corner. So I got back, and I think 2 days later I went to the US for Breyerfest. So it was quite busy at the time. So I didn't have the time to make the changes they wanted on this figurine. So they invited me back after Breyerfest. So I got back to the company for, I think, 3 days, like Monday to Wednesday or something. Then I did the changes in the company until they were satisfied with the figurine. I know that I changed the body, so they were happy with it, but I didn't have the time to do the coat structure. When you now Schleich figurines, you will know that they will have these tiny little details and in the direction of how the coat is growing. So someone else did this for me, and I'm actually really happy with what it looks like. I don't know who did it, but it's like really nicely done. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. By the way, I really hope you can see it. It looks really dark in my room right now, but it's like just really dark outside. This is why I'm using my ring light. This is why you see the ring in my glasses in my eyes. But I hope you still will be able to see all the details of the figurine. So a little bit about the background story of this figurine. I was really excited when I got the concept board For everyone who hasn't watched my previous videos, a concept board is basically like a sheet that Schleich sends to freelance sculptors or like any figure that is made for the company. There's first a concept board made for this figurine where all the details are stated of this figurine, what it looks like in detail. There will be pictures, there will be measurements. Basically it's saying like turning this way, this ear has to turn this way, this ear has to turn this way, this leg is this, and this. So basically I got this concept board and I was really excited about the pose of the horse because it was a nice movement and it was standing on all tips of the legs, which is obviously fairly hard to do, so it's still standing properly. But I was really excited for this challenge. And actually, I have the main reference that I used printed out, and then I used that to sculpt from that. I don't know if you can tell, but like basically the whole leg movement and the main structure of the body is like based on this reference, which they included in the concept board, which I really liked. In general, I know that the people at Schleich, or the person I worked with, he was fairly concerned that as gelding, it might look a little bit too feminine, too dancey, with like all the hoofs on the edges. But I think he was fairly surprised at the end that how well it worked and how nicely the movement is done of the horse. So overall, this is the fourth figurine that I did for the company, the fourth time I sculpted in wax, and I think personally this is the best figurine I've done so far in terms of like getting used to the material of wax, getting details in, getting movement in. However, there are a few changes that wasn't the original. So mainly the tail that I sculpted was way further out, kind of like this. But because of molding reasons, I had to bring it in a little bit. So this is why it's like a little bit more flat, but I still think I really like it. To be honest, since I'm not really great with braids, so the tip of the tail is braided, and I struggled a lot with the braiding, to be fair. So I know that they weren't quite happy with the braiding, but I think they still kept my braiding. I don't think anyone changed the braiding of the tail, but I really like the subtle hint of the braiding, that there wasn't a braided mane and like super fancy braids. It was just this subtle hint of the braid, and I actually really liked it. Another thing that I just realized when I picked it up in the store is if you look from the front, this leg is like really far this direction. So obviously when I first sculpted it in wax, that leg was straight and now it's like pointing out this way. And it was like the same with all the figurines that I saw in stores. So it wasn't just this one. So it might be caused by the molding process, because obviously when they get out of the injection molding process, they're really fragile and hot. So they might just bend a little bit. I think it adds a little bit of the movement. Obviously, since the head is turning a little bit this way, this leg is pointing the other way, so the horse would actually need to go this way more. But I don't think it does any bad to the sculpture in general. Yeah, there's one more thing that I want to point out, because they mentioned that when I went to the company in summer 2018, that for 2020, they decided to have another print on the belly of the horse. And I don't know if you can see it, but it says designed in Germany, and then it just says Schleich, and then it says in 19. I don't know if you can see it, but a lot of people were confused by that. They still have obviously all the other stuff that needs to be on it. There's like a made in China and all these other logos, but all their figurines for years used to have their whole address on their belly, and there was just made in China or made in Tunisia or wherever the figurine was made. And I know that some people asked me about this and they were concerned and they were like, oh, why is Schleich doing this? Like, oh, do they want to, I don't know, hide the fact that their figurines are made in China? No, they are not, because, okay, so yes, they are produced in China, but the designed in Germany is really nice and really important from my point of view, because their company is still located in Germany. And I would say like 90% of the whole designing process is still done in Germany. So I think it was quite, I don't know, hard to see that it just says made in China while this whole process was actually made in Germany. So all their figurines are mainly sculpted in Germany. They have some freelancers that are working outside of Germany, that are working in Europe, but still all their figurines are sent to their company in Germany. This is when they make all the molds. All the molds are done in Germany. I know that some molds are done in China, but all of the molds that are done in China are coming back to Germany for final check, and then they send it back to China, and then they start producing the figurine. All the samples of like what the figurine looks like is done in Germany. All the legwork, I would say, is done in Germany, and only the final two steps of like molding and painting is done in other locations, aka China. So I think it was quite nice because there are so many people behind this figurine. It's not only the people that sit there in China and get the figurine out of the mold and paint it. There's so much more legwork done after, like before that. There's all the security checks, all the health insurance, that's all the checks that the figurine has to go through are all done in Germany. So I think it's quite nice that they actually mention designed in Germany, because this is kind of appreciating the whole designing process that is still done in Germany in their traditional company. So I think it's quite nice that they included that on the figurine, and I think it's gonna stay like this from now on. But yeah, I'm really excited about that, and this is the kind of background story around that. And last but not least, I want to kind of mention the color of the horse, because I'm happy with everything of the figurine, how it turned out in plastic, how the details came through and stuff like that. And then I kind of saw the color and I was like, what is this? We know that Schleich sometimes like to invent new colors. We all remember that white foal that Schleich released a couple years ago. And we all know that white foals don't exist because every grey horse is born black and then they become more grey whitish within the years. So there are only two horse breeds that, or like there's a Cremello that is born white, but they have like white, like pinkish eyes and stuff. It's like not the albino, but like, you know what I mean. So the grey foal that Schleich released a couple years ago, which was meant to be a grey horse, actually would have been black, because it should have been black, because it would have been born black. So a white foal doesn't exist. And then I saw this guy and I was like, oh, Schleich invented a new horse color, because on the concept board it was stated that this horse is supposed to be a bay. And we know that a bay is brown, and that a bay has brown mane and tail, and that a bay has brown legs. But as you can see, the horse doesn't have brown legs. There's only one other horse color that is a bay colorish and doesn't have brown legs, which is a chestnut, which is more reddish. But a chestnut has a chestnut mane and tail as well. So this horse is kind of mixed between a bay and a chestnut, because it has the look of a bay, but it has the legs of a chestnut, because there are no black legs. So this horse color doesn't exist in real life right now. I saw this guy and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know what went wrong. Again, I'm just sculpting the figurine, so I don't know what happened at the company who decided to get rid of the brown legs, because obviously now it's not a natural horse really anymore. But anyways, we have a lot of artistic people out there, so I'm sure you will use that opportunity to maybe make a proper bay horse out of it or repaint it completely. But in general, just looking at the sculpture, I'm really, really happy with what the figurine looked like, and I'm super excited that everyone is going to be able to buy this figurine now, because it's going to be in stores now everywhere around the world. So that's super exciting for me. And again, this is the one figurine that I'm really, really proud of, and I'm really happy with what it turns out, and I'm just repeating myself now. So anyways, I really hope you kind of enjoyed this whole background story around this figurine. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll hopefully see you guys very soon. So bye.